Welcome to the first Kill It With Fire 2 Dev Diary. So today's Dev Diary, we're going to cover who makes Kill It With Fire 2, why Kill It With Fire 2 is happening, the Kill It With Fire 2 design ethos and philosophy, the game's hub and spoke system. We're going to talk about multiplayer, and also we're going to talk about a roadmap for early access. So let's get started. First up is the team. So first and foremost, I'm Casey Donnellan of Casey Donnellan Games, LLC. I'm the guy who came up with the original idea for Kill It With Fire, made the first game, and now I'm working on Kill It With Fire 2. I'm the only person that's like working on the game full time, all the time. So I write all the code, I design all the levels, come up with all the spiders and all the objectives, and just generally like plan what's going to be in the game and execute on it. However, I definitely can't do it all by myself. So I have like a handful of contractors that help me out. For example, Trevor Black writes all the music. Miles Luna does all of like the writing for the game and some voice acting, and a whole bunch of other people. Mostly it's like stuff that either I just can't do at all, or I'm not very good at, or stuff that I could like break off and just give to somebody else to lighten my own workload. Check out the credits in the game for like a full list of everybody, and we'll probably be talking about some more people in future dev diaries as well. Also, there's tinyBuild. tinyBuild is my publisher, and they do stuff like help me out with QA testing, localization. They do the marketing, they make all the trailers, and just all kinds of stuff. So they're, it'd be much harder to do any of this without tinyBuild. So then big thank you to them. So let's talk about why Kill It With Fire 2. Why did we make this game? Well, definitely the number one reason is just the fans wanted it. Going and reading Steam reviews and what people say on Discord, there was just a huge demand for Kill It With Fire 2. People were really excited about the first game, and they wanted more spider exterminating action. It's kind of an amalgam of a few things, a bunch of leftover ideas that didn't quite make it into Kill It With Fire 1, and then a bunch of ideas that I had after releasing Kill It With Fire 1 of just, before you make a game and after you make a game, you kind of think about it in different ways, and you have a whole different picture of like what ideas would be a good fit for a game. And so after releasing Kill It With Fire 1, there was kind of a whole new set of ideas of like, this would be really cool. This would be like a neat thing to put in a Kill It With Fire game. And kind of once I had enough of those ideas and thought of an interesting story to kind of encapsulate everything, I said, let's do this. Let's do Kill It With Fire 2. Push a little bit more on the story. This was kind of like a little bit of a do-over from the first game in terms of story. The first Kill It With Fire didn't really have a story. What story it did have was kind of like tacked on in the Omega Files update. And so this was a chance to really like focus harder on that part of the game and use it as a platform. Tell an interesting story, and I think some interesting ways. So we'll get more into that. Design ethos of Kill It With Fire 2 is very different actually from Kill It With Fire 1. So a little bit of spoilers here for the first game. Kill It With Fire 1 is all about escalation. So you start out, just like in a couple of rooms fighting against like regular spiders. But the game keeps introducing new and crazy types of spiders, and it keeps, more importantly, giving you crazier and crazier and more destructive weapons to kill the spiders. But also, part of the joke is you're going to end up destroying everything around you. And that escalates and escalates to the point where you set off an atomic bomb and really destroy everything around you. So you can only escalate so far, though. And could I think of some things that would escalate further than an atomic bomb? Yes, but I'm not sure that it would be very meaningful from like a game design and a player experience point of view. So rather than escalating things further, in Kill It With Fire 2, we're going to go broader. That is best represented in the game's various dimensions. So in Kill It With Fire 2, you are hopping between different dimensions that have all been overrun by spiders. And each dimension is a pretty unique experience from other dimensions. So like on the surface, yes, they are different settings. So you've got, a haunted house or a spider city. But more than that, each different dimension is bringing like new mechanics. So new mechanics in terms of gameplay challenges. That's probably where it's like most obvious. But also different sets of weapons, different systems like the potion making system. And of course, different types of spiders, whole different sets of audio logs that are telling a unique story that's specific to that dimension. And sometimes even the format of that story is different. And then even the music is different. You would think that would kind of be a given, but like the first Kill with Fire, we may do with like 3 or 4 minutes of music for the whole game. I think that Kill with Fire 2 has something more like 25 or 30 minutes of music, huge amount more music compared to the first Kill with Fire. So yeah, it's more about going broader and having a much bigger variety of stuff happening than in the first Kill with Fire. We have all of these different dimensions, and they are like the spokes that surround the hub, and the hub is the Vindicator. The Vindicator is a spaceship that has the ability to open portals to different dimensions. And so in Kill with Fire 2, the expectation is that as a player, you're going to be spending time hopping back and forth between these different dimensions, killing spiders, completing objectives, collecting compound X. Personally, I find that very satisfying. I think that's a really fun way to play the game, and it seems like from reading a lot of reviews and hearing from players who played the first game, that's kind of how people played the first Kill with Fire. Even though you had to select the level from the menu and you were just looking on menus to check everything off, a lot of people really loved that type of gameplay. And so Kill with Fire 2, we're formalizing that a lot more. We're saying this actually really is the way you're supposed to play Kill with Fire, is checking off all these boxes. Now that said, you can still play the game straight through. You don't have to, go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. As long as you're collecting a modest amount of compound X in each level, I don't think you even have to go back to another level twice, with the exception of going back to the Vindicator just to open another level. So for people that want a more straightforward experience, that is still there for you. But for what I expect to be a majority of players, that more sprawling hub and spoke experience is there for you. And there's a lot of gameplay mechanics there to kind of support and reinforce that. We'll talk about some examples of that. So, a simple one is the morph spiders. We'll get into what morph spiders do later in probably another dev diary. But an important thing to know about morph spiders is that unlike just about every other spider in Kill with Fire, when you kill a morph spider, it's dead forever. There is a specific amount of them in each level. You can actually go through and kill all of the morph spiders in the whole game. And so on the Vindicator, there's some objectives to, kill 25 morph spiders, kill 50 morph spiders, and then there's an achievement to kill all of the morph spiders. So, and then each level tells you how many morph spiders are left in that level. And so this is kind of encouraging you to keep track of okay, I need to do this in this level, I need to do that in that level. It kind of keep you bouncing around between the different levels. So another example of this that's a little bit more involved is the potion system. So in Artois Manor, there's a cauldron where you can brew potions. But the recipes for each potion are hidden in all the different levels. So each level has its own recipe. So you might stumble upon a new recipe and take a screenshot of it or take a picture, write it down even. And then you'll go back to the level with the cauldron and brew that potion and say, oh, well, this actually would really help me in that other level. It would help me in this challenge that I had a hard time doing. And so, these are mechanics that are really encouraging you to explore back and forth and try new abilities on levels that you've already been to and stuff like that. The last example I'll talk about is the weapon upgrade system. So in Kill with Fire 2, you can upgrade your weapons. A lot of the time it involves adding an alt fire ability to weapons. But in order to do that, you need to meet a proficiency requirement. And what that means is the game is going to tell you oh, kill this amount of spiders with this weapon, or do this thing X number of times. And so it might say like, kill 10 web spiders with the laser gun. And you say, you know what, Artois Manor, that has a lot of web spiders, but I didn't have the laser gun when I unlocked that. So I'm gonna load that level up and go hunt the web spiders with the gun. And now I have the kills, and then I'll go upgrade it. Oh, now I have this new ability. And it, keeps going, and you just keep getting more and more weapon upgrades and more stuff to do. So yeah, that's it's just trying to think of as many mechanics and things as I can to keep players, coming back and revisiting levels and seeing like content in new light. Okay, so enough about that. Let's talk multiplayer. So Kill with Fire 2, one of the huge pillars of the game is multiplayer. Why did we do multiplayer? Well, you guessed it, because people really wanted multiplayer. A huge amount of comments for the first game. We're just talking about, we want multiplayer. We want to be able to play as a spider. So a lot of people had this idea, independently, of they want some people to be able to play as exterminators and some people to be able to play as spiders. And so I have created that in a mode that I'm calling Spider Hunt. So in this mode, you've got up to 8 players, some of them exterminators, some of them spiders. The spiders, your only goal is just to survive until the time limit is up. The exterminators, on the other hand, you've got to go out, you've got to find weapons, and of course you've got to kill the spiders. But you can only cause a certain amount of collateral damage. If you cause too much, you'll get fired. That said, you can cause quite a bit. I mean, it's still Kill with Fire we're talking about. So that's out, that's in the demo. We did a playtest a few months ago that featured that mode also. People seem to really like it. I think it's a lot of fun myself. And I'm going to be continuing to add new maps to that. We'll talk about that in a minute. The other form of multiplayer is campaign co-op. So with the exception of the tutorial at the beginning of the game, you can play the entire campaign in Kill with Fire 2 co-op with your friends. And I think that a lot of people are really going to enjoy that. So yeah, one thing I also wanted to say about multiplayer is that multiplayer is like super hard to make, actually. I've actually, in my career, I've worked on a number of multiplayer games. I know this. I should have known better that, it would add an enormous amount of complexity to the game. So if you've been wondering, like, why is it taking so long for Kill with Fire 2 to come out? Multiplayer is a big part of that reason. I pretty much had to like bust the whole code base back to like the beginning to add in the multiplayer functionality. So the other reason it's taken so long is my wife and I actually had a baby like right before I started development on Kill with Fire 2, and we moved across the country as well. So definitely some additional complexity in my life. See if you can spot my daughter. She's in the game somewhere. Let me know if you think you've seen her. So speaking of time and how long it takes to make a game, original release of Kill with Fire 2 is going to be in early access on Steam. Let's talk about what's going to be in that early access release and what isn't going to be. So the early access release is going to include 4 levels. And you may say, that does not seem like very many levels. The first game had 8 levels. Well, if you've played the demo, you've already seen these levels are a lot bigger than the levels in Kill with Fire 1. They're bigger in terms of like square footage, but they're also bigger in terms of you just have a lot more that you can do in a level. There's a lot more systems, there's a lot more mechanics, there's more challenges. Even though it only has 4 levels, I think that we're looking at a similar sized game just in the original early access release. And then additionally, there's going to be Spider Hunt with 3 Spider Hunt maps. Beyond early access, there's going to be 3 big updates that each add a level. I'm not going to tell you what levels they are, but if you look, there's a part in the Vindicator, the hub level, where you can probably guess some information about the levels that are coming. So there's going to be 3 big updates, 1 for each of these levels, and then the game will have its full release. And I would like to do some kind of a big community event again, like we did for the anniversary update of Kill with Fire 1 when the full release happens. Additionally, at some point along the way, I'm not sure exactly when, I would like to add in the house from Kill with Fire 1 as a Spider Hunt map. I think you guys would really like that, and I think that would just be like a big just big fun thing to do for the community, to be able to play in that house again, but in Kill It With Fire 2. So yeah, after all of that happens, then I'm going to start porting the game to consoles, and eventually it will come out on consoles as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Dev Diary number 1. If you, depending on when you're watching this, I guess, you should try the demo if you haven't already, and make sure you wishlist the game. Or if you're watching this game or this Dev Diary like way in the future, go ahead and buy the game. I'm sure it's came out really super good. And lastly, if you haven't already, check out the Kill It With Fire Discord server. There's an awesome community on there. All right, well, thanks a lot. Again, this was Casey Donnellan, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.